I got born again on a Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday when he was preaching about satisfying the desires of the flesh.
If you look at the economy today, people are unemployed. You know, mina personally ngiyasaba ukuya to most churches because I'm going to be singled out.
Good morning. It's once more a pleasure ukuba khona ku 013 Golden Circle. It is a beautiful morning. Siyabonga ngale thuba esilitholile ukuthi sizokwazi ukukhuluma. Today I'm not alone, and we have a special guest, Apostle Glen Makam from Witbank. Good morning, Apostle.
Good morning, Pastor Robbie Williams.
Yes. It's an opportunity to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yeah.
your invite.
Dala sikufuna ku 013. Esaze sakuthola mfundisi, siyabonga le opportunity. At least masithole wena siyazi ukuthi uzosinikeza kahle umlando omningi wase Witbank because you are a bona fide. Yase kasi. What can you tell us about yourself maybe before singaqhubeka mara nje umfundisi abafundi bathanda uvula ngomthandazo. What are you saying mfundisi?
Okay. I mean, like you were saying, good evening, Glen Makam. I'm born a 74 tall man, Laga Kukala, and the Reverend Simon and Catherine Makam. Those are my parents.
Yeah.
So I studied in Konjani, Standard 3, Standard 4, Standard 5. I'm a standard on those years. Manje babiza ama grades.
Form 1.
Yeah, sanga ku form 1 kunginsimbi. So umntana wala Witbank, Witbank, yeah. Born bred and buttered in Witbank.
Yeah. When you are running a ministry.
Yeah, so I am running a ministry. I got born again in 1992 under the leadership of Dr. Bishop Ezra Mzulu at then Victory Fellowship Church. Yeah, I mean, I got born again on a Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday when he was preaching about satisfying the desires of the flesh and speaking about how that affects and how that will make us not to see heaven. And I was really touched. And when actually he called an altar call, I was the only one who responded to the altar call on that day. And something strange that happened when I zoomed just to recall on particularly that day, sort of like an usher. I think it was one of the ushers at that time, was this Joyce Maputa.
Okay.
Yeah, she came to usher me, I remember one. Then was Suguma umfundis. Jeremiah Matribin Zulu at that time.
Bishop now. Yeah.
And I don't know what was the significance of that. It is now that I understand. Okay, that means there was this thing that I did not know about. Yeah. Then it was also Bishop Zulu that told me there's a calling of God upon my life. God has called me into a full-time ministry and prophesied over my life, and many other actual confirmations that I received from people that I did not know. And then from there, I went to Bible College to study at Freeman Bible College in 1994. And then I qualified in 1996.
And Bishop, which year was it? That Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, that was 1992.
Oh, 92.
And it was towards December, actually towards the festive seasons, And then 93, 94, then I went to the... I told my brother that I come after him. And yeah, he was long born again. And... when you went to church on that Wednesday, and because he didn't take me serious, maybe he thought I was fooling around. So I'm first watching him from a distance. So I went out and I followed him. I'm like, and that was the day I got born again.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, and you have got a good memory from this most background.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, there's been some years. Yeah, I remember that we met, I think 94. You were visited Middleburg uzoshumayela kuNdlovu or something.
Yes.
So it has been a long journey, and for those who don't know, we went around Nomfundisi. We preached around the country for so many years. Singakabi nanezimoto sisa hike. Masibasibize sishumayela sigibela amateksi.
Of course.
Yeah, until God blessed us with cars. We are still preaching, and one thing I can say, Mfundisi, I'm proud about with you, we are still preaching the sound gospel, undiluted gospel clean, which is very rare in our times. Maybe if we can, I can ask you maybe one of the first questions engakubuza wona ukuthi the passion engifila sikhulume ngayo today is the church relevance, yabo? Today, because ngibona sekunezinto eziningi in the church, too many churches, too many funny things are happening. But before we go into that subject, maybe it's because God doesn't exist. That's why but do you really think God exists?
Yeah, uNkulunkulu is really alive. God does not exist. God is alive. God is real, and God is true. The sad thing about the present church or the dispensation on the time that esikuyo manje, ukuthi we lacking a true apostolic guidance. Because if you remember at that time in the olden days, in the days of our patriarchs, who have been before us, they were very strict in preaching the gospel, and they definitely made sure ukuthi yonke into it's done according to what God uNkulunkulu ayenzayo. Maybe sometimes I believe ukuthi there were people who were born out of the law, who understood exactly how the gospel should be preached, how they honored God from the law. And ungabheka bonke labantu uJesu wababiza because they were under a certain guidance and a certain law that bebayiqhuba yona. So when Jesus Christ called them, they still maintained that kind of order. Though they were with Jesus Christ, but they maintained that kind of order, which I believe is the culture of the church. They've never missed the culture of the church. And that is why they were the ones that were giving guidance most of the time. I think you also have an understanding based on that, according to your perspective. What do you think might be the cause of the church being relevant or irrelevant in these days? Yeah.
And then the so-called born-again charismatics, they don't believe in ancestral worship. Since we're in Africa, I believe ukuthi masonto amaningi and other pastors, even others who confess charismatics, but they do consult according to research. What's your take on that? Is it really wrong for us to, or let me first maybe ask the question in this way, what's your take about ancestors?
Okay. Well, I believe in ancestors in which way? Because I still believe that, I've got ancestors. I've got my father, my mother, and other grandfathers, and other people that I don't know who are my ancestors. Whom are people that I still honor even today because of the teachings and because of the way they raised me. But I don't worship them.
Also, a challenge on ancestral worship.
The problem is that when you start worshiping them, I don't worship my father, I don't worship my mother, but I really
value the
values.
values.
I value the values. I honor what actually they've entrusted in me.
But you have a tuning.
No, I don't go.
I will clean.
Well, no cleaner. Well, mina nginaskhathi ukuyocleana. Mara if I did, bengizoyocleana. Man, you see, when I got married and no, when now I'm going slow. But when I got married, I had my children. So I told them about my parents. And by God's grace, amatuna wabo said matuzan. So I took my children there to show them where I buried my mother and my father. All of them. Yeah, this is where we buried my mother. This is where we buried my father. You see the tomb, this is what is written, and so on and so on. No, I didn't. I just went there to show my children.
What's wrong talking?
Because I don't.
No, sikhule njalo ngisho uyafika ucele bogogo bonke ucela indlela bavula indlela.
Okay, the difference is that my father never told me to do that. I had a lot of conversation with my dad, and my dad would tell me, if there's anything that ofuna ukuyenza ngcono ungenzele yona manje ngoba ngifile man. Uyofika ungithini, ngiyokuphendula ngithini.
Ngiyamkhumbula the way you used to talk like that,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's how my father used to speak. Ngiyokhuluma nawe ngithini mina, ngoba ngifile mos. You know? And that's
So you don't believe the dead can talk, or
no, I don't believe that the dead can talk. I don't believe.
and they can't answer.
I don't believe they can answer. Right? The only thing that I value, it's their teachings. And sometimes if I'm cornered by the challenges of life, I go back to what they taught me. I go
Okay.
back to what my into engazikhuluma nobaba wami, izinto bengizidiscussa nomamam, you know, things that my mother will teach me and so on. You know, my mother in her deathbed, my mother was more concerned about my life than any of my brothers, because it was distorted endlini kakhulu, yabona. So
ngiyakhumbula.
ngathi bengalaleli, ukhumbula bukhona wena.
No, i-background ma ungixoxela i-story zakho. Yo, abantu ngeke bakhona masibona sibupostoli mawubatshela
Yeah, well, they
Tingayi
won't
lapho,
believe.
yeah, they won't believe.
That's where actually we need to go that route. Enye into mfundisi, mina I still believe ukuthi, you know, people they don't know who we are. Bacabanga ukuthi
Sizabe sisindisiwe.
but I've got history, and I'm not even ashamed to talk about my history, because I got born again, and Jesus Christ helped me, and ngabona kangcono. I changed my ways. So indlela bengibona ngayo izinto ngisiza uJesu ukuthi ngishintshe and ngiguqule ngendlela ngenza ngayo izinto. I still believe ukuthi nayo lento le mhlambe ingasiza ekutheni, you know, if we can speak about our past, we can speak. Mina basangibiza uGlen Umlungu abangazi, you know, in 1984 ngathandana nomlungu, you know, that was very scarce in those days. And if I met my peers and people that I studied with esikolweni ebongensimbi, but namuhla ababona umpostoli pastor bathe sixoxe besicotela besibathi hello ukwathandana nomlungu, and so on. Lento lo picture le ayisuki, it's a history that we value, something that actually I would say something that taught us, something that made us who we are today. So when I preach, I don't preach what I learned from the Bible. I preach what I experienced, like uJesu akhuluma impilo yakhe ahamba emhlabeni. Yeah.
So pastor manje la usidlulisa njani la uba nginokuza bathi the so called born again sibiza ama ancestors abashona ngamademon. What's the confusion there?
Amademon.
Bathi thina amademon.
I think the confusion is when there are people that okay. Asingakhohlwa ukuthi we have the enemy called the devil. You know, who takes an advantage about any good thing, that which he can turn it around and use it for his own benefit. Tina, as charismatic, when we call, when we say people are amademon, it depends on the spirit. There are certain things, Mina, that I believe my father wouldn't approve. Of which that I know, then I know which law. These are not their teachings. These are evil spirits. These are demonic spirits that were taking an advantage, who wants to use a form of my mother and the form of my father to come and talk to me.
So those who are convinced to come no mama no babake, are you saying it doesn't exist, the thing? Because for instance, no make jacket, so famous as KZN, a very young person in background as a FM, who convince abantu, he believes it and he speaks to ancestors. They are talking to him.
Well, it depends also on your relationship with Jesus Christ. Mina, I'm born again. I'm a child of God. You know, being born again is to change the ways of doing things and the way I used to think, and transform my thinking into how Christ wants me to see things. Abantu abafana nalabo bafundisi labo, it depends ukuthi bona what is their relationship with God. It depends ukuthi what is it that convicted them to say they speak to their ancestors. I mean, I'm saying your ancestors are not my ancestors, right? I relate to my ancestors based on what they taught me. You know.
You sound like you're saying mhlambe babo bangakhuluma bakabakhuluma.
Well, I don't know. Maramina bambateke mingingenzi. Yeah, that's what they told me. They said, don't come. She's always feel. So everything that you need to do it right now. Like my
But
mother.
in general, angisho sinceda abalaleli ke. Let's say kunabalaleli bathi yani nabayakhuluma. Kusho bakhona abakhulumayo.
No, maybe born. Maranti, I'm talking in terms of bringing an understanding. What is it that they taught you? Like me, and let me tell you what my mother told me. My mother loved sweets, chocolates. She had a sweet tooth. You would always say, what for me, there's no, what my sweets and alles like no yet. Because uma seka shonile, what you ngien kono ukudla, ayen kono kungilethela lezinto ngizobe ngifile. Then my question was, mama, njengoba ngeze thuneni ngithi mama ngicela inhlanhla what buya ngikuphi inhlanhla manje. You see, that's how I relate with my ancestors, having to do what was right. Number two, I honor and believe ukuthi my ancestors are talking to me in this sense ukuthi let me also walk in the ways where they taught us. Let me help my brothers and sisters. Let me be with them. Let us build each other. Let us help each other to do certain things together. Let us hold the family together. That's my role that I'm playing, in honor of my ancestors, who is my father and my mother. Yeah, that's basically what I do. Laba I don't know what is it that they said to them.
But what can you say to the body of Christ as a whole when it comes to this subject?
According to the scriptures, according to the Bible, when we read the Bible, when we understand the teachings of Jesus Christ, ancestors are not talking, are people who cannot talk, are people who are dead. There are those who are in paradise, there are those who are in Hades, depending on ukuthi umuntu
Yasebenzela.
all right, at the present moment. There are quite a number of examples that are there in the Bible that are teaching us and are telling us about our waiting places. Yeah.
Okay. No, mfundisi kezwakala. The currently, man, the state of the church. Do you think the church is relevant? Do you think the church is impacting the way God has called us? Are we lacking somewhere? Are we powerful, forceful? Or what can you tell us maybe about this status quo of the church currently? In broad, not only the charismatic, just the church as a whole.
The church as a whole. It's a very, very, I think, challenging question that you're asking. Because now myself, I'm in that state where I'm doing self-introspecting. I'm self-introspecting. Mara, am I relevant to the times? Am I impacting the way which Jesus Christ would have loved us to impact? Because there are certain things that we don't do anymore in the church. We don't lay hands upon people. We don't prophesy upon the lives of people. We don't do things that Jesus Christ said we must do. The things that Jesus Christ are modelisha bafundi back. You remember that there was a time where Jesus Christ had to model his disciples and send them 2 by 2 and to go. And they came and gave him a report on how they cast out demons, on how they, they spoke, how many people were saved, and so on. And Jesus Christ taught them one thing: when you go preach the gospel, do not take your purse, do not take a new pair of sandals, and so on, because the gospel must provide for you. All right. So I realized, Wuti, these days the church is not so impactful, right? There's kunendlela ecakile that is happening in the church at the present time. I still believe, Wuti, particularly the charismatic movement, I think we're mixing ourselves too much with a worldly way of doing things, rather than separating the church and the standard of the world.
One example? In
this sense, the titles that we use, there's no first lady in the church. There's no first lady. The first lady is the wife of a president of the country, because he is the first citizens of the country. That's why they call him the first lady. Akuna first lady esontweni. Sonke singabantwana bakaNkulunkulu, lo umamfundisi, umfazi kamfundisi, So these are the certain standards that we brought into the house of the Lord that makes us not to impact the church and to stick to the principles uNkulunkulu nomo Jesus asifundisa wona. Yeah.
Would you say the church now is less powerful than the church in the past, or more powerful?
The church is less powerful than the church that was in the past, because there's quite a number of things that are really, really bringing about a greater challenge in our lives. You know, kwathina sisodwa singabafundisi, we are a challenge among ourselves. You know, abazalwane, they are a challenge among themselves. Nezinto engakhona ukuzikhuluma emabandleni. We are no longer a Bible-based church. You
Is
know,
that international or is it the Witbank or South African challenge?
I think it's an international thing. We are now opinionated type of the church instead of being a Bible-based church.
Okay.
Sinama opinions amaning, all of us. Yeah. We say samba ngama scripture, say samba ngokuthi i-verse lit, and we don't take the entire Bible as the standard of living for a Christian.
Okay, so, but what can you tell us maybe briefly about the church in Witbank, where it was, where it is, and where it's going, and the challenge? What are you foreseeing?
Well, I don't know about other places, and I can speak about Witbank based on the culture. You know, when mhlambe kungasinceda-ke ngoba umfana wakaThema ubuya kwaThema, you might give us an experience of that place. I stand to believe that a culture of the place or the culture of the city influences people individually, influences us in the way we see things and in the way we are doing things. In this sense, like for instance, a Witbank, it's not easy for people to approve who you are.
Okay.
In this sense, ukuthi i-culture yala ekhaya bekufanele kube nabosoziwayo kuqala,
Okay.
rather than say uma bakhuluma ngotlen, when they speak about Utlen, they forget about Utlen, they forget about Baba Gatlen, they go to my grandfather. This was the culture, the talk yala Witbank, Utlen Mubi, Glen Makam. Oh, abantu abadala, then they will tell you, tina sazi umkhulu wakhe. Then they start talking about the negative things that were done by my grandfather, and no longer the good things that were done by my father and done by, or the good things that I'm doing presently. They always refer into the past. Now, if you want to come and say, Utlen Mubi, angazositshela ngalo, uyabona kube bekuwumntwana kaZibani bani. There are certain families that were affluent ngesikhathi zakudala eWitbank, right? Yeah, yabona no umntwana kabani, yeah, mhlawumbe umntwana ola uma families.
Is it tribal or what?
No, not really tribal, it's a culture of the city. It's the culture
of class.
That way we class people, right? There are people, I believe me, they will never come to my church because they know my background. They know who I am. They know my family, you know. Like the same.
Is it a local problem or international problem?
Well, I don't know whether it's a local problem or an international problem. Hence, I'm saying, have you experienced that kind of a culture? A Springs Kwathema or but la a Witbank, particularly Witbank, you know. That is why now ngatu ya phakama kakhulu Witbank. Kuba nabanye abantu who don't want to approve who you are, even in business, right? They rather support umuntu wangaphandle abangamazi kunokuthi ba support umuntu abamaziyo wala
because of the background,
you know, because of the background. Basically, that's where the church nasebandleni, even in church, it's like that even today. That culture exists emabandleni even today. That culture exists among abazalwane and among also abafundisi bala eWitbank. They don't want to lift each other up based on the background that they know. You know, it's also a mentality, mfundisi, ya abazalwane, or is it a black culture of umangasinjalo, umangaphosisi, yabona, which I believe ukuthi I don't think influencer thina kangako, or njengathi thina bala eWitbank nakwezinye izindawo, because kunenye umunye doctor benza a certain research about an African, I think it's an African indigenous church, or he was doing a research about the church in the rural areas. You know, Mfundisi Guti, I was shocked that he discovered that there are people, the vendors and the Shangans from Guyana and Venda, who are driving every Friday, going back home to support their pastors, to go back to their churches. La unamasonto astrivayo who are affluent emadorobheni mara bona they drive from Johannesburg. You know, last I was in Venda, bengolobolela omunye umfana. I saw a man drove from Emelo right to Venda. Athi no uze ekhaya esontweni. Then he's going
So truly
back.
they are more patriotic compared to
They are more patriotic compared to abazalwane who are from the cities.
Chuti is the same thing because nangifika Witbank, one of the things engizinotisile when you check our posters of abafundisi doing conferences and stuff, we always find pastors from outside. Chuti, is that also maybe part of the reason abafundisi base-Witbank inanthandani and funani because since your ushumangu Springs nase-Middleburg, I've been asking the same question. It's rare to find a pastor wase-Witbank and a conference and a guest speaker or local.
Yeah, I think it's that culture. You know, it's born or it was nurtured from that culture. Ukuthi ubani mfanele approve ubani. Uyabona izinto ezinjengalezo. Ubani ungcono kunobani. So those are some of the things ESCON. And some we don't even want to learn from each other as well.
No quotana.
No, ukuthi ngquote ubani. Yeah, but it's very difficult to do that. It's very rare to find abafundisi ba quotana or benzana. I mean, I do it a lot. If I've quoted you a lot in my church, if you can go to Guma tapes you will hear me. And I usually also ask mhlambe apologize and say, sorry, Pastor Rovi, for not consulting you about this, but this is what I'm saying. I remember I was with Pastor Eddie and this is what he said. You know, I will say to my and sorry, Pastor Eddie, for not consulting you to quote you and so on. You know, well, my father, I quote him all the time, Bishop all the time. I speak about him all the time so that the people may know who make minanguyapi. But that culture, la Witbank, ikona.
But mawuloku ukhuluma ngoBishop Zulu le ndawo father sonship ikhona vele is it biblical ukuthi the father there's a son because I heard others they are bashing it.
Well, there's lots of people that are bashing it as well. Marangiti, it comes from the scriptures as well, where Paul writes to Timothy and say, Timothy, my son. So, which means it's a culture of the church. It comes from the church. It does exist.
Is it proper?
Particularly where your father, like me, Bishop Ezrom, he's the one that preached to me and I got born again. And therefore that makes me his son. You understand? So that makes me his son.
Is it a healthy practice?
Well, it depends. I think it depends on the relationship.
It can be abused.
It can be abused. It can be, it can be seriously abused. And it can really hurt as well. Yeah.
So is it advisable to keep it and practice it?
Well, it depends upon, I believe, that's hence I'm saying from this. Could depend on, I think the way people are being raised, the relationship that you have with Jesus, and learning from other people how they relate with others. I think it goes back into matters of the relationship, right? And how other people are being raised. You know, do you really, are you raised well in the sense that someone else's success does not intimidate you? Yeah, that's basically what I believe. But I don't know what is your take when it comes to that point as well.
Yeah, I'm challenged because I'm wondering, what if there's somewhere where God gives you instruction, but your father in the Lord, and then you're caught up with, are you going to listen to the Lord or to your father? Because okay,
it depends where we are, Like for instance, Pastor Robi, I believe I'm a father myself, right? I'm a father in my church. God has entrusted me with the church, right? If I relate with my father, based on the father-son relationship, right? On me and him. Talking about our own issues. If I've got challenges, go to the fathers and advice. And
Tithe of tithes.
If there's tithes of tithes, that, which I don't know whether it's in the Bible or whatever, But at the end of the day, I'm saying, if God is talking to me, I'm a father. I have a flock that I'm looking after. So I'll rather get an advice on what the Lord said to me. But the decision at the end of the day lies with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard others bakhala ngayo le challenge ukuthi bawa nayo uthole ukuthi manje they don't know which voice to listen to when they feel with the spiritual father is saying the other way, and then also a sort of culture ngathi ngasho ukuthi cishe ifana ne-extortion because kunezimali ezifunekayo where the fathers are demanding certain monies from the sons, and the sons they feel ukuthi bayaba tax and stuff like that. Ukuthi yiko ngibuza ukuthi do you think the practice is safe ukuthi we can maintain it, or maybe if ngibuza biblically, your understanding, because kunelinye verse where Paul is talking about the older one being able to take care of the younger one versus to what we are taught where we feel good no, the older one they must always receive from the younger one.
Yeah, culture. I don't know who else also perpetuated that kind of a teaching, but I'm saying also based on the culture. I believe it's unacceptable, right? Because it is the father that must take care of the son. Then the reason why you take care of the son, you nurture, you build your son for his own future. Help sons establish churches, help sons to help nurture their gifts, help build.
So in other words, release before what taboo.
Release before what taboo. Most of them who feel that there are black people who feel that like a capitalist nigger, there are black people who feel that they are better than others. Number two, I still believe the self-hate that also come from the apartheid era. Apartheid has been very, very, very bad to us. It hit hard on us in the sense that other people, when they see affluence, then they want to compare themselves as other races, like going to white races and white churches and so on, because of the self-hate. They believe that they can be who they think they are when they associate with white people, right? Or with whiteness, or thinking that the best and the better things are in white churches. I still believe that that's self-hate. Self-hate is seriously something. Abantu abalimele and balimele kabuhlungu balimazwe apartheid abanye vele abazithandi or abathandi abantu abamnyama. Number two, I believe ukuthi abanye they don't understand we are all slaves. Why can you become a better slave than I am? Right? Pastor Robbie, he preaches so well. He's way of administrating things, is in an upper certain level of excellence. Then they don't want to, so that it can be this kind of excellent. I know, support the law. It's in every way, even in business. Black people never support another black man. They will never go to a black doctor. They don't believe in black. They don't believe in that because of self-hate. I stand against that.
But can you substitute when you say we are slaves? What's your
when
meaning?
I'm saying slave, I mean all of us. We are all under apartheid. We are all black. We were all suffering. So people don't understand under the circumstances or under that kind of an environment, you can be better than any other person. So some other people, they think their presence in your life or them supporting you makes you better. Right?
Are you talking about the past, not apartheid, or I mean even currently?
No, the current situation, it's at the results of where we come from.
Okay.
That is what...
So their mentality is
exactly. You see, I still believe that we need to teach about black consciousness. We still have to teach about it in deep, because there's still
and maybe black excellence also.
Black excellence as well, we are all, we do have the capacity, we do have the ability. Not to say all black people are stupid.
I heard the lady, I don't know what you know her name, Begabu EFF. I heard a trending these days that show the black people can't lead.
No, that's not true. I don't agree with that. We do have we do have good leaders among ourselves. We do have people who are. I think I heard about that lady. I differ with her when it comes to that. Because if you look at Mandela, they were very good leaders. Oliver Tambo, they were very good leaders. But the country is what it is because of the leaders that were there before us. You know, it is unfortunate that what I'm saying to you with kunezinye izinto we never got exposed to. And when us nasizithola sigizo, and then we don't think for other people as well. We don't think for other nations as well. Like for instance, when people become graduates or professionals, they think angithi bahlala nabelungu ma-boardroom, and even they are in wherever they go, nabaya kuma-camps or strategic planning and so on.
Or you mean in the workplace?
In the workplace. Then they think nabo they are white. They will go to white churches and go and want to associate them with. You know, it's wrong in the sense that a doctor cannot want to be an usher in my church. Maranaga fige tropen uba usher.
You mean a black doctor?
A black doctor. And it doesn't see anything wrong about it. I even heard one of our former judge, judge Mueng asho ukuthi yena is a usher in church.
I know. You are the one who is servicing.
No. I'm the one who's servicing. Beza game, but mfundisi sectioniwe lapha akusena akuna kudla. I have to make a plan. Ngwenze show ukuthi kunama veg, kunani around there. Nabaqeda abantwana bakhona abafundile. Abo mistress nabanye abafundi who are doing good job. This middle class.
Senzele government.
Ba statikari na the statikari yakhe uyahamba is going to a white church or is going to a foreign brother, church bayo supportable. Mara labantwana nababuya esikolweni elikhaya lethu bafika la iFaithtabernacle bathatha isinkwa baya lapha kithi. So I still believe that we need to teach deeper and deeper about this culture, black consciousness. I think it's very, very important that we need to teach ourselves about that.
Yeah, because I see the contrast with omunye athi let's raise in the things of the spirit. But on the very same question, I know ichurch, for instance, city center, Pastor AD Gateway, city center in the heart of the city.
Exactly.
And kune Blancheville. Angazi konje kuna ligama lesinisa labo Noyorim, labelungu
Northport, yeah.
Those white people will never set their foot at Gateway. It doesn't matter how poor they are.
Yeah.
White people in South Africa don't attend a black church. They don't care if it's excellent. They don't care if there's money. They don't care if they will be fed. Bangeza nangabe nikhepa ma-food parcel. So in other words, whites in our country don't believe in black leadership, regardless of how excellent it is. But Tina, irema yonke bangahamba bonke abelungu, because what I've seen the culture, every time black people come to a white church, all the members they leave. Then kusala abantu abamnyama bodwa, but the leadership jongo bush kune committee labelungu to guard the black slaves who think they're white. It's always happening like that. And then we cannot say no, but why religion, later race in the things of the spirit? But why white people are not coming to black churches at all?
Do you know that, Pastor Robbie? It is them middle class, affluent businessmen who are building good buildings for white pastors. It's their monies that pays the bond. Because the white skin still have the privilege of getting the bond to build a church. I've got a very good, beautiful vision. God is blessing me with a very powerful, big land. Mara, I'm not even a black man that can come, an affluent black man that can come and say to Mfundisi, we want to invest in you. They'll rather invest in other white and white churches or a foreign brother. I think ukulimala komuntu omnyama owalimazwa apartheid at that time. And that also had to make us to compete among ourselves instead of complementing each other.
But akukho la mfundisi nathi singathatha mhlawumbe iblame ukuthi mara nathi vele management yethu maybe it's poor. Singakhuluma ngami nawe kuphela or ngomunye simaziyo or the affluent one. But don't you think masingacheck ama stats? The statistics don't prove good black people are pathetic when it comes to management. Imali yalahleka vele. So much that building fund is khule kwamamasonto to collect the building fund for 20-30 years. But akunanestini one is bego phezulu kwesinye. The change never stands. Is there no other side maybe that discourages the elite because sebafundile sebayakhona ukubona?
Yeah, well, I believe in that. I believe in that as well. Ikhona le nto leyo. Mara, my question is, Pastor Rob, as much as we are in that kind of an environment, why don't you try another pastor? I'm not Pastor Glen, not Pastor Robbie. You know, let me try another one and see. Since I'm a five of us, best we are shuguti, no, abandaba miyama, they are bad. You know, you cannot conclude based on one person and decide, ukuthi ya, ngikonsekulela sonto for 14 years. And ebengiloko ngikhipha building fund for 14 years. Kuleya sonto still namanje angiboni isitini. Mara bheka ukuthi uPastor Glen uqale nini and unani, what are the things that he has achieved. So why don't you go and support him and say ngifuna ukuyosupporta that brother, at least yena ngiyambona ukuthi wenzani. And then why do you have to put them in one basket, put all of us in one basket? We are not like that. You don't know my administration. You don't know what is it that I do in our church. So when I conclude ukuthi nabo Glen bonke banjalo because you are affected by one pastor, I believe that's unfair of you. Number two, I still believe that vele kudala kahle kahle ingqondo yakho ihleli belungwini dala walimala engqondweni. It's just that you got an opportunity yokuthi hey ngaze ngaphuma ngaze ngaphumelela ngaphunyuka athi ngizambele ngiyosikhonzela edrobheni. I mean, you're citing a very good example. There are many black churches, black pastors that are doing very well in terms of administrating finances and administrating their churches. Gateway, for instance, you know, right in the heart of town, of the city. Edrobheni, Witbank, they're doing well. I mean, how many white people went in the church? They don't like it. Let me tell you, Mfundisi. Let me cite an example. All right? Kunomunye umfundisi umlungu. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but let me cite this example. There is this white pastor who is a chairperson of the fraternal. I'm a member of that fraternal, right? So Guza, one of the black pastors who is a father in the country, right? One of the fathers in the country who is black. So ngiyamcela ngithi kuye mfundisi ngicela as a chairperson of the fraternal yaseMalahleni sicela ukuthi usiwelcomele uBishop Musa Son because he's the one that was coming on that day, you know that guy when he came to actually the first thing when he arrived from our church, the protocol department gave him a parking, took him to my office. He could not believe my office when he came into my office. What is this? I could see him, you know, what's going on here? Now, had to usher him, wait until Bishop Musa came, shook hands with Bishop Musa, introduced him to Bishop Musa. Then the protocol came and took them inside the church. Immediately after he introduced Bishop Musa, that guy, he never even went back to his seat. He went straight into his car, started this car and he left. That was the first time. And there are other black pastors who comes to him, and I understand that they were getting money from him every Friday, 500 rands every Friday, and so on, you know? And he never came. And since on that day, that guy, I became a member of the fraternal. I even left the fraternal. That man never spoke to me. He wouldn't even greet me. He wouldn't even come and... A white pastor. Because he could not believe that there was a black pastor who can be so well organized. You know, they don't believe. Bacabanga ukuthi sonke fanele sizothatha ama-100 rand, ama-500. Bacabanga ukuthi all of us, we must come and have ama-grocery. Sizothatha nezimpahla zamabhantshi wabo, ama-hands wabo namabhantshi wabo amakhulu. I don't need anything from them. So basically that's that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mina ngicela ukufaka wami umbono or input or a question.
Yes.
Pastor Mina, I'm one person, I believe that when things don't go well, you say in my business here, the first person that I self-reflect to is myself. As the owner of the business. What is it that I'm doing wrong? I personally feel in black churches, there's a lot wrong that the leadership is doing. And they don't want to self-reflect. Nothing wrong, I would say that they are not aware of.
Okay.
Because when you have a church, you know, you must always try to make the best of what you have. You've got numbers. So when you elect people, you know, you should also elect people and committees based on the capability. Yeah? To say whether we want it or not, in a church we need money, finances, must be in order for you to be able to sustain whatever that we are doing, right? And we have a clear plan within us, within this church. How do we reinforce our talent and everything that we have and our potential so that we make sure with ourselves is self-sustainable? If you look at the economy today, people are unemployed. You know, mina personally ngiyasaba we are to most churches because I'm going to be singled out. I'm just making an example. So the way churches are structured, most especially our black churches, I've got an issue with it. So maybe it's about time. I'm glad today ungenile la. Now mangele na ungena la, it's not what you know. As a society, we start knowing each other. We start interacting with each other. We start knowing the potential that we have amongst ourselves, you know? Because I'll put an example, yeah, but the pastor, but you know, they're supporting white churches. Mina knows pastor. They can't say that. Because about pastor, they're supporting white restaurants. And you look at the place, there's nothing wrong with it. So, as black people in general, we need to start with even a cohesion amongst ourselves. Then you'll discover, you know, if we are well organized, really we don't have problems.
Okay, no, I tend to differ with you when you say there's a lot of wrong that is done in black churches. You know, we cannot conclude based on two experiences of people that we had an encounter with. You know, some of us are doing our best. We're trying our best. Number one, most of the departments in our church are run by professionals. People that are professionals are the ones that are running our departments in our church as well, you know? And we give them the leverage to showcase their ability, their talents and their gifts, you know, in order to advance the kingdom of God and to advance the church. And at the same time, I'm not there for me as Pastor Glen. Yes. I'm there for the community. Yes. I'm there for an assignment and I'm there on an assignment that is entrusted in me by Jesus Christ. Yes. I'm a church. I'm building the church of Jesus Christ. And there are certain principles and standards. La uJesu awabekile neBhayibheli elwabekile ukuthi fanele siyakhe ngawo. All right? Mina ngeke ngithathe umuntu ohlala phuza njalo nje every day and ngimfaka ku board because he's a professional. No. What are the standards? What is it that the Bible is saying about people in leadership, people in the church? So I'm saying to you as well, even in town, you know, there are also black restaurants as well. You know? There are also black restaurants as well. And number two, mina ngivele ngena la because I don't know about this. Mina ngaze moonlight kusemjayivweni. Ngaze moonlight mina kusetshwaleni. That's what I know about it. I didn't know. I mean, I got shocked when I came here to see, oh, this place is so transformed. Oh, so ngeza ngizo shy steak la no, you know. So those are some of the things as well. Maybe say your marketing as well.
There's a lot wrong. But maybe let me put it this way. Let's look at black churches that are successful. You know, and Nankulma is success. Obviously, me as a business very I'm looking from the business side of things because it's very, very important. You know, and then we also look at white churches also on the business side of things. What is it that they have in place that makes this church to succeed, and try and copy that model because the model is the same. You know, it's the same to say, but these people really they are not really dependent on offerings. They are maximizing what they have in the church. I would like to give you the task, and And they must also consult. But lapha ZCC, what is it, kangaka? If Vaseline, you know, we need to find out what is it that generates these revenues. And I'm not saying all of them, they generate revenue with Christian values. But we're going to apply we take what is right, Pastor Glenn. We take what is right, we leave what is wrong. Because, from where I'm sitting, there's a lot that we are losing out of not knowing the society that we are in and the potential. Because I believe in the society, there's everybody. There's the cleverest of the cleverest, the kunezitawa, gunani. So, le segregation at the corner, it creates some of these problems. So,
yeah, no, just to enter, because I'm sure because one of the things that which is but I hear your point, which I think is very key and important. What the example, for instance, is making as a black restaurant, we just found no, there are other black restaurants in town. But the bottom line is vele i-value chain yethu ayikho 100%. We are not people makhuluma nge-black consciousness ukuthi we need to emphasize the fact that before we are kumndiya, but umndiya is a good doctor. Have you tried a black good doctor now? Yes. Have you went to a good lawyer now? We need to bring that black conscious culture of saying, start with your own before you go to other races. I think as black people notice futhi man toy or bangumsindo nikhuluma nge-xenophobia. With most of the time out we check, once we start standing up for ourselves and say, no, you can't start there when we have not exhausted me too, xenophobia. Yeah. So we are finding ourselves as South African being hammered to say we can't be patriotic. Every time a South African is patriotic, xenophobic. Exactly. But that's one thing we must bring. We have to start with each other before we go to any other nation, whether we are talking white or any foreign. In my pulpit, never. I don't care what I have not exhausted. Hence, I'm so respectfully kind of worms. So, we cannot fully support when the speakers mostly are from another province. When there are so many pastors in the city we've never heard, who's supposed to tell about me in the city for them to know me, except for people in the city? Who's supposed to announce me? People cannot announce me. They don't even know. They don't care. Yes. Why am I announcing another guy when I have not announced them? So we need to learn to first announce each other and also affirm each other, so that people in the locality can say, no,
Pastor Robbie, sorry, Pastor Glenn. If I was a pastor, just making an example, and then I have unemployed people in my church, I'd be concerned. To say, I've got this number of people of unemployment. Within this church, how many sustainable jobs? Professionals. Now you want the clever minds. How do we turn around these situations as beginning every day? And if it means you must also outsource some ideas to benefit the church, do that, because I feel honestly, ngalama collaborations, Pastor Glenn, there's a lot that we can do. Unemployment, I think we can. I'm not saying we can completely eradicate it, but with the sharing of minds, because some of us, we're not doing only this. There are other things that we are doing. If your church can be so self-sustainable and just create 20 jobs from the church,
you've made a difference.
No, it's true. I agree with you.
So,
yeah.
The collaboration.
Yeah. You see, the fact that we are talking about in terms of resources, we are concerned about unemployment. We are concerned about it. There are other churches. No, I know. I'm saying that. But at the same time, we have black people who can make it easy for us, who are professionals, whom we need in the same city and the same township they grew from, so that they can come and assist. But the problem is it's a mentality of a black person who's got a self-hate, who does not believe that other black people can be better than we can make each other. We can collaborate so we can be better with each other. Rather, why they are better than us. So mina, I'm going to take my resources and I'm going to go to town. I'm going to take I-10 yam la ngistarte la ngambe ngiyokhonza edrobheni. You know, mara at the end of the day, nakuna security, fane kube nama security kuvuke laba abala elokishini bazokhona ukugada ikari yami nalaba bafana abala esontweni all around. That's are the things that I'm talking about. For us to come where we are as a church, finding it difficult. Of course, I don't dispute that there are people who made it difficult. I remember at some point I spoke to Pastor Rob. I said, "Hey, Pastor Rob, you know our fathers have made it difficult for us. Tina, the generation that is more clearer in terms of what we need to do as a church in the community. You know, how to empower our own people, how to change the lives of our people, how to, like, we even developed the slogan that Faith Tabernacle is about that young man in that Mkuku who thinks that better things are only in town. You know, we want to start what we call foundations, bursaries. The same children in the community. Abathola ama-7 distinction ekopanang nase Bonginsimbi. Let it be the very same church, but where are the resources? The resources are with our black brothers and sisters who are professionals, who are affluent businessmen who decide to go and fellowship in a white church. You know, because even their children, they are in the multiracial schools. They befriended each other there, and they attend a particular church. So they want to go and be part of the church. I remember. Let me make you this. It's if we are not going to, we as a church emphasize, and as a black nation, emphasize loving each other and loving yourself as you are as a black man, we're in trouble. We're in trouble forever. You know, I was told by my son and my daughter, they were from the Cambridge. In fact, they appreciated me from taking them out of that school. I'm like, why? Why do you say, you did very well, Dad? You did very well. I'm like, why? They say, hey, Dad, you don't know how much we wanted to be like white people. You remember my hairstyles? Yeah. Atipela, even my name, I wanted to change my name. Instead of being in Tlamulo, I wanted to call myself with a white name because of the kind of a mentality that, you know, our people have about each other. You know, I was telling Pastor Robbie at that time, move about the culture of the society in Witbank. Sikhule kanjani in Witbank. There are people that will never come to my church because they know my family background. They know where I come from. Yes. They rather approve umuntu abangamazi, you know, ovela somewhere.
I even know your favorite color of shoes. Namakhosi wakho bewaso.
Bewa brown, we are was. You understand that? So ungazongitshela ngotlen. You know, if ungazongitshela ngotlen. Some even elderly people, when you come to report about the good work that is done by Glen, elderly people, I'm talking about elderly people, but jump at the good work that Glen is doing.
Yes.
And they go to my grandfather, whom I don't know. You know, my grandfather that I never relate. Athi ungazositshela, sazi umkhulu wakhe bekathengisa ama-penches lapha ekhoneni. Omunye bekathi, ngilapho bebahluphekile, unithi uGlen wenzani? You understand that. So that is the kind of the culture that also we as a church, we need to look into. Because at the present moment, I'm talking about the ability and the skill that we have, you know, and exactly the vision that has been entrusted in us in order to empower our own people.
But in conclusion, so because this card is I just need to give you maybe 2 minutes to conclude.
Yeah.
Mina, I really want to take serious what Khoza is saying. In my observation, the church thinks the unemployment is none of our business. We are spiritual people. Tina siyezulile. Singena apha thina ukuthi ilokishi liclean. Singena apha thina ukuthi abantu bayasebenza. So that's the mentality we need to come back, as we are saying. As a leader or a manager, you take all responsibility of every flaw in your organization. Because sometimes the problem is actually a church as an organization or as a business. Yes. It is a spiritual entity. Therefore, when I show these people they pray and fast, my assignment is complete. It's none of my business. So that's the culture. We need to make sure it's part of the church. Like now, check the Islam. You can never say no. It's prayer, it's family, and it's business. Always. So that's the culture we need to bring in the church to say, asikwazi ukukhuleka kuphela bese ukuthi udlani angeni lapho, asikwazi ukukhuleka kuphela bese ukuthi ufunda apha abantwana bakho badleni. And among what you check, it's so biblical when you read in the book of Acts, ukuthi it was a demand from the apostles to say they brought money in the feet so
Of the
that none
apostles.
of them may be seen ukuthi uhlukile kunabanye. So all of them, they had to be made common by making sure they break bread and they fellowship together. But the church has lost that. Omunye nomunye kumele ashane lo bagibela inde labahlala kubi ba affluent laba abanye bayacela, but we don't make it our mission to say how can we impact and transform the economics of our city. And that's where we should go back. As he's saying, good now back, for instance, as we need to go and copy with Benzan, how do they run their finances regardless of their number and other things where we can copy as a charismatics and say in the next 5 or 10 years, nathi sifuna ukuthi sibe sesine bank, for instance, sifuna sine insurance and stuff like that. Just in conclusion,
I just want to make one point.
bese uzoconclude.
Just one point, Pastor Glenn. If you look at the biggest bank in South Africa, Capitec, no, and the reason they're biggest bank is because they looked around and they found which one is a lucrative market, and it's us here in the township. Ne? I'm saying I want you to have a paradigm shift with all these challenges. You've got a Capitec branch, your church. Let's use that as your branch, and then we start looking at how much potential can come out of that. I'm telling you, you'll be shocked. If you start looking at it like that. Asifuna abanye abayedrobheni ne bazojoyina lesonto ngezenzo zalo. You understand? And with the leader, ongafuni baziseshe esikhwameni, who goes out there and look at what the database
Network.
and harness out of it, you'll be shocked.
Nanguzwa kayi-10.
So I tell you.
Nguzwa kayi-10.
No, I hear you what you are saying. Yeah. But anyway, I still believe that we can do best. You know, I mean, I still believe that uNkulunkulu has given us an opportunity, you know, to be who we are and with the kind of wisdom that He has entrusted in us. Let us empower each other. Let us come together. Let us sit down as all the pastors in the city and help one another in moving forward.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, kubabukeli bonke, sesivala. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the session and sizoba namanye futhi. Thinking mhlambe kuzoba nama episodes azoba more azomdala. Please, I don't know where you are watching us from, but ungakhohlwa sikhona ku YouTube, which is 013 GCTV Media, and then bese ku Facebook uzosithola ku Golden Circle, and then ku Instagram na ku TikTok is 013 in words. Siphinde sibonane. Please make sure you subscribe, ring the bell and all the necessary things so that you don't miss any channel. 013 Witbank. God bless you. Thank you, Pastor Glen, once more.
Thank you.